Welcome to 12-Minute Talks, where important information is shared in a short time period. Learn from other business owners, entrepreneurs, and experts about what they do to help you find solutions to everyday topics in 12 minutes or less. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 12-Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Andy Neillie. He's the owner of Neillie Leadership Group in Texas, where they turn managers into leaders. It's not just their tagline, but it's their passion. Andy has also been doing keynotes, workshops, coaching, and consulting for more than 20 years, with the focus on helping managers transition into high performing leaders. Andy, thank you so much for being on the show today.
I'm excited to be with you and get a chance to visit with some of your audience.
I appreciate that. So, I think this is a very interesting topic. I've never heard of anybody that turns managers into leaders. And before we get into that topic, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how you got started in this industry?
You bet. Well, I had a bad boss very early on in my career. In fact, I've had a couple of bad bosses. Most of us have had bad bosses. And so that kind of put together with my wiring around, the world is supposed to be good to people in the world, just kind of coalesced, gosh, more than 25 years ago now into this whole area of leaders are supposed to lead well. They're not just supposed to manage stuff, they're supposed to lead people.
And so, is this a type of industry that you created it yourself, or is this something that's already existed before?
Well, it's interesting. I'm a classic keynote speaker. If you were to look at my website, you'd see a picture of me standing up on a stage. So there are people who speak at conferences and events. There in Miami, where you're at, there's a lot of conferences and events. There's also coaching and leadership development. Most of my work, while I end up on stages regularly, most of my work is coaching and consulting, working with small leadership teams, doing management training, and that's been an area where people have been involved, investing in their managers for many years.
Yeah, that's important because, like you mentioned, I think we've all had bad bosses at some
Yeah.
point, right? And I think it could be why we've had a lot of people joining the Great Resignation, right? Because they had a bad boss. What's your opinion on how companies could maybe prevent some of this resignation? Is it just the managers, or do you see something else
No,
in there?
it's interesting. Stephen Covey, the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People 30 years ago, said people join organizations for the job, they leave because of their boss. And so I think this great resignation, I mean, there's a whole number of dynamics that are going on, but probably first and foremost, are you a leader and not just a manager? You and I talked briefly about the difference. A manager gets things done. They're in charge of the output, the what needs to happen. As you transition to a high performing leader, you're also the who of leadership. How do things get done? Why would people want to show up and work hard for you? So yeah, it's always been important. I think it's been more important in the last 1,000 days since we all went home than it's been.
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm hearing is that it's not just having a good mission statement for the company, but whoever your direct boss or your boss's boss to also be somebody that um, implements maybe the mission, but also makes it an enjoyable place to work, right?
I mean, there's the
Yeah.
ongoing tension because the reason you come to work is to do valuable output. Whether there's a financial return, or I work with nonprofits, there's always a mission that has to be accomplished, and management teams are responsible to implement that strategy. And at the same time, they've got to take care of their people. So there's this balancing act of how do I steward my organization into the future, and how do I serve my people so that they continue to bring their best efforts to work, and so that we continue to treat them the best that we can. It's a balance.
Yeah, definitely. And so, Andy, what are some ways in which you help managers become leaders?
Yeah. So I've been looking at folks that manage for many years now. My doctorate dissertation was a study of leadership effectiveness, and I boiled it down to the managers I work with who are good at becoming leaders. They bring four, what I title the four leadership necessities. They're people of conviction, They have that long look. They're strategic. They think more than a week or two out. So they're people of conviction. They're people of competence. They help their teams execute. They make sure that the mission is being accomplished. Conviction, competence. They're people of character. You and I talked 5 minutes ago about most of us have had bad bosses. My first boss was not just a bad boss. He was kind of a bad person. He had horrible management issues, that whole character area. And then the fourth area, so conviction, competence, character. And then the fourth area really addresses this stewardship servanthood concept. And I call it the term covenant. Here in the state of Texas, when somebody gets married, they enter a marriage covenant. It's a combination of love and affection, and people show up, and it's a wonderful wedding, and they want to live together happily forever after. There's also a legal document that's signed and recorded with the Secretary of State. There's a Secretary of State. There's a formal agreement. And when I look at managers that are becoming high performing leaders, balance that I am here for you, team member, with, and we've got to get some stuff done together. There's a formal agreement. So those four leadership necessities: conviction, competence, character, and covenant. Simple for me to talk about, a lifetime of execution for us to get good at it.
Right, right. And so Andy, do you work with any particular industry or online just in Texas?
Yeah. I've worked across a variety of industries, many of the Fortune 500 companies I've worked with in the past. Where I draw my greatest satisfaction is working with people in the trades, manufacturing, construction. I grew up and worked my way through college carrying a hammer. Basically, anybody that wears a blue collar, I can help if they've moved into management, because they're not going to Harvard. They don't have an MBA from Columbia. These are people that have grown up in the trenches, and I love working with them.
Awesome. So the blue collar community. And so how can somebody who might be interested in improving their management skills, or not improving their management skills, let me rephrase that, becoming a leader,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
How can they reach out to you?
Well, I appreciate that distinction. You can be a manager who is also a leader. That's the challenge that I'm trying to address. And one of the key things about every good manager who's becoming a high performing leader, they recognize communication is important. I've got to be with my people. I've got to be communicating. So I'd love to make available an offer to them. If you simply go to leadershipmaterials.com, leadershipmaterials.com, there's a place for them to download the three imperative leadership conversations: how to hold a coaching conversation, how to hold an affirmation conversation, how to hold a hard conversation with team members. That'll also give them an opportunity to sign up for my blog that I send out, and we can get connected on my website.
Fantastic. And like always, I will have all of the links down below. So those watching or listening to the podcast can easily reach out to our guest today. And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name's Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where together with my mom, we help families and businesses with their financial needs. And so, Andy, I think this has been really valuable information. Um, why don't you leave your audience here with a random question? What would you say is a good productivity hack now that we're, at the beginning of the year, everybody's
Yeah.
still with their New Year's resolutions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important, not just busy work, like I say. You know. And Andy, what about a book? What would you say is a good book for somebody looking to improve their leadership skills?
Well, you see, golden principle, life and leadership lessons from a rescue dog, and that's an Amazon.com bestseller. My wife and I have rescued many dogs over the many years of our marriage. The other great place to start, John Maxwell wrote a book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I don't think there's anything new in that book, but boy, if somebody's looking for a place to start, that distills down really 2,000 years of leadership thinking. There's not been anything new in leadership since Marcus Aurelius and Jesus Christ. Everything's just been rehashed and updated. And the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership would be a great book for somebody to dive into.
Okay, awesome. So I'll put those links as well for those listening or watching. And I agree. I think a lot of what you hear today is just easier ways maybe to understand, but if you really filter it, it's like the same thing, right?
Yeah,
At the
exactly.
end of the day.
Nothing
Perfect.
new under the sun. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Andy, it's been great having you today on the 12-minute Talks podcast. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, thanks for the pleasure of being on. I look forward to interacting some with your followers and audience members. I think you both love working with small business owners, the ones that drive the economy. So it's been a
For
pleasure
sure,
talking
for
with you.
sure. Yeah, everybody thinks, the big Fortune 500, they are important, but it's the mom and pop businesses out there that really help the economy and employ a lot of people, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this podcast and hope you will listen to the next one. I'm Lorena Tomasini, and you can contact me via email life@malmins.com. Make it a great day.